info session to get some money from Citizens Committee.
Awesome. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me, and really excited to talk about our grant opportunities and just to be amongst people who are doing community organizing and really bringing people together to improve their community. But also, I think we might have some small businesses in the room too.
Yeah.
So I'll talk a little bit about who we are as well as our opportunities. But who am I? I'm Katie. I'm the program director at Citizens Committee for New York City. So Citizens Committee, we actually started in the 1970s during the fiscal crisis. So we are a nonprofit that started all the way back in the 70s. And it was when the city was broke, basically, and it couldn't provide basic needs like sanitation. So it was really a way to support volunteers who wanted to really roll up their sleeves and come together and improve the quality of life in their neighborhood. So our mission continues to be the same, really supporting New Yorkers to, bring their neighbors, bring their community together to address important issues that are important to them. A lot of times people think we're a city agency. We're not. We're separate from the city. We might partner with city agencies sometimes. But people also think we're an environmental organization, and we also are not. We fund green programs, but really what we are looking to do is we want to hear from you all. What is important to you? What is needed in your community? Any project that you want to do to address those issues are things that we would fund. So really what we're looking to do and what we like to do is support community building projects that are carried out by resident-led groups. So what we mean by that is like people from the community who are experiencing the issues carrying out their work. We don't want to, fund volunteers that are parachuting into other neighborhoods to address issues that they don't know anything about. So again, we listen to you, you tell us what's important, how you want to address it, and we will try to give you funds to do that. So that is who we are and what we do.
All right. So tell us, how do we get the money? What grant opportunities are you offering now? Letitia, join the conversation, talk with us. You guys know us, right? I don't need to introduce me and Letitia. I'm just going to go right to Katie. Katie, tell us some of the grant opportunities you offer in general and specifically what you're offering right now.
Yeah, so in general, we have two main grant programs. It's our All-In Neighborhood Grant, and this is really for grassroots community organizing groups that want to carry out projects in their own community to address issues that are important to them. And then we also have a new grant program. It's called the Neighborhood Business Grant. So this is for small businesses that have been really hit hard by COVID. So we started the program back in May, really recognizing that small businesses are part of the fabric of communities. And so we want to make sure that we are supporting them so that they can stay around. So we also recognize that sometimes people fall in both of these categories. So you might say, hey, I'm an owner of a small business, but I also do community organizing work. Can I apply for both grants? And the answer is yes. You can always submit applications for both of these grant opportunities. But I want to go into a little bit more detail of what these grant programs actually are and eligibility. Julia?
Yes, that was my next question. So life is easy for me.
Perfect. Awesome. So I'll start with our All-In Neighborhood Grant. Actually, I'm going to back up before I go into that, because a lot of times with these grant programs, people are like, do I need to be a grant writer? I don't have a grant writer in my organization. No, we are working with the most grassroots groups, so mostly volunteers. And with small businesses, I know like grant writing is not necessarily something you do all the time.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So
and small business owners, they just don't have time for these long, takes a few days grants,
Exactly.
So from my experience, like I've gotten your grant a few times. It's really simple. You can fill it out in a few hours.
Awesome. Yeah, exactly. And Aaliyah, I'll have you talk a little bit more about your experience too, because I'd love for people to hear kind of what you went through to fill out the grant. But yeah, that's really our goal. Like you don't have to be a grant writer to fill out the application. most of the people applying for our grants, it's the first time they've maybe ever written a grant application before. We're not looking for perfection. Really, at the core of what we are looking for is you sharing your passion, why it's important to you and your community. And the same with the small business grant. We try to make it very simple and straightforward so that even the questions on there you can use for other grant opportunities or things like PPP and SBA, which are other loan opportunities. We're grants, not loans. But again, right. We're really, yeah, exactly. So you don't have to pay us back. We're really looking, to make this as simple and straightforward as possible. So don't be worried with the grant process and application. And Aaliyah, kind of your experience with applying for grants, because you went through our neighborhood grant application and our now rebranded All In Neighborhood grant application.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think I've been awarded twice. And it was really simple. I had a group before called Prototype Music, and we did a lot of music programs in our local shelters. That was a very easy grant. It might have taken me 2 hours, 3 hours to fill it out. Most of it was spell checked and just trying not to look stupid in my sentence structure. From my experience, what you guys are looking for mostly is just that you have an actual fleshed out idea and that your project is going to continue whether you're awarded or not. I found that most of your grants and similar grants kind of don't want to fund just something floating around in your head. You have to actually be doing the work and be able to communicate what your ideas are and what this money is going towards. But if you've got all of that out, which I know a lot of people that I know on this call, I can see the names are already doing that, just take the time to fill it out.
Awesome. And yeah, it's nice to have someone in the room who has gone through the experience and kind of the process of the application. And something with the application is it's an online form. So the beauty of that is you can save and come back to it later. You don't have to do it all in one sitting. But definitely encourage you to keep notes on a separate, maybe Word document or something like that. Because with technology, and I'm sure we've all been there, is something happens. It happens. And as much as I would love to be able to get that back for you, we can't always do that. So just make sure that you're writing on 2 separate areas, copying, pasting. But what I am going to do is just put in the chat where you can find the actual application. So if you want to pull it up while we're on the call, you can, but just so you have that. So it's on our website, which is citizensnyc.org. And I'm going to put the link to the grant making page on here. And you'll
so we have 2 grants, right? So community groups that are just doing good work in the community. Tell me a little bit about that one, how that works, who's funded, what that looks like. What are some examples of that? And then we can talk about the small business.
Perfect, exactly. So with the All In Neighborhood Grant, again, rebranded for anyone on the call who has also gone through the neighborhood grant experience. But this is really meant for grassroots community organizing groups who are bringing community members together to address issues that are important to them in their community. So what do we mean by volunteer groups? What do we mean by community organizing groups? So this ranges from tenant associations, block associations, can be community gardens, but that's not all we do, Friends of Parks groups, and really with COVID, a lot of new groups started forming. So you don't have to necessarily fit under one of those umbrellas. You don't have to be a block association, with BlaQue Resource Network as well. Like you all are a huge network now. I think you said 14,000.
We need money.
Exactly. So I know you all have different groups within that. So,
yes.
By a group, we really just define a group as 2 or more people. And as long as you are bringing community members together instead of just like, one person can have a great idea, but you can't make change just with one person. So we're not looking to fund one person who has an idea that wants to do this alone or by themselves. We're really looking for groups that are, engaging neighbors, engaging community in this work. With COVID, we kind of expanded to some of the types of groups and projects that we would fund. So I mentioned like tenant organizing, I mentioned block associations, but what are these groups actually doing?
Yeah.
So it can be checking in on your neighbors, making sure elderly neighbors are getting food and access to medications that they need that they can't do during COVID. Of course, we're not only focused on COVID right now, we're also looking at groups that are engaged.
We had tons of problems before COVID, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Like with, I think that's kind of the important part of what COVID has taught us, but what we've already seen, and leading up to COVID, it's just exacerbated the issues that have already been there. And I'm sure that you all feel this and have seen that. And so we're also focusing on things like social justice issues. How are you engaging community members in cop watches, making sure that you're holding police accountable and doing that work? And how are you engaging your neighbors in that? It could be workshops so that people feel like they can safely do that.
Was that called cop watching?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's an example of something we might fund. That's a main one I'm thinking of now, just because it's so pertinent in this moment. But definitely different types of social justice issues that people are coming together to address as well. So, I mean, in the room, I don't want to open it up too much to questions if we're not there yet, but, I'd love to see in the chat just some ideas, because Leah was saying there's a lot of work that's happening. Yeah. I'm not sure like what people are doing as examples, but I'd love to hear from you all of the types of work that you're doing.
Is there like something or a group that you would not fund or not, that does not fit into this category?
Yeah,
so like one person wouldn't be able to do it, for example.
Exactly. We're not going to fund an individual. We also, we are really looking to support small grassroots groups. So you don't have to be a 501c3, meaning a registered nonprofit, to get a grant. We will fund groups that don't have that status, but we'll also fund 501c3 groups. But we really want to focus on groups that have a budget of $70,000 or less.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So and I believe you don't fund groups that have paid employees.
Exactly. It's changed slightly. Okay. So really glad that you brought that up, because
that's for the all-in grant. That's not for the small business grant. I know we're talking about
exactly.
Right now we're talking about just the neighborhood organizing aspect.
Exactly. So pre-COVID, we wouldn't fund any staffed organizations. Post-COVID, well, not post-COVID, we're in COVID right now. But we recognize that there are some very small nonprofits that maybe have like 1 or 2 paid staff members that are doing really pertinent work right now, either like a food pantry or getting food on the ground quickly, things like that. So we've lifted those restrictions a little bit, but again, we're prioritizing groups that have a working budget of $70,000 or less. Most of the groups that we fund don't even hit that amount. Like $70,000 is a lot. Most of the groups we fund, it might be $0 for their budget in the past year. It might be like $5,000 if they've gotten another grant. But again, really trying to prioritize those groups that can't get funding elsewhere.
And what about like the different, I guess if you're a teacher, could you, or a group of teachers, could you apply for a grant as well?
Yes. Yeah. So we do fund schools. Schools are actually separate from the $70,000 cap. So I'm really glad that you brought that up. So we do prioritize Title I schools for the funding that we give. So not necessarily like private schools and things like that. We do fund charter schools. But if it's teachers that want to come together to do work for their school, we will fund that. We also fund PTAs as well. And that's one of the things we realized, that with COVID, really access to education is so important. And so we're really trying to make sure that we're getting the word out for different education initiatives. And That doesn't necessarily mean you're a part of a school. Of course, like school and school setups are very important for education, but after school programs, people that want to do hyperlocal potting, which is basically like if they want to be able to pay a stipend for someone in the community to be able to teach and support students from on the block or from the neighborhood. So that's a great question.
Yep. So in the chat, guys, come on, let us know what you're working on, so we know who's in the room and what kind of questions to direct this to. Don't be shy. You guys are not shy. I know most of them in here, so come on. But okay, so let's spend a few seconds talking about the small business grant, because I do see a lot of small business owners. Tell us a little bit about that, because that one I'm not familiar with at all.
Yeah, so with the small business grants, we are really, and I want to say this also for the All In Neighborhood grant, for all of our grant programs, groups that are working within the 5 boroughs of New York City are eligible to apply. We don't fund anyone outside of the 5 boroughs.
So we don't entertain anyone outside of Queens, so you're in luck.
Amazing. I just always have to say that.
That's cool.
In case, but the same goes for these neighborhood business grants. So again, these are grants. We're really prioritizing businesses owned by women, people of color, and immigrants. This also includes undocumented immigrants that would have been excluded from loans.
Yeah.
So definitely trying to make this accessible. Again, it is money you get to keep. It's not a loan. You don't have to pay us back. But with the neighborhood business grant, it's really focused on supporting modifications to your business function so that you can survive during COVID. So what we'd like you to do with the it's up to $10,000. I'm sorry, I have the hiccups, of course. So I'm going to be interrupting with hiccups. But we're really looking for that money to go towards different types of adaptations that you can do in your business. So whether it is if you're a restaurant and it's building outdoor seating or having an HVAC unit within your business. So I know restaurants, like very much that's been the focus with grants and loans, but we support any type of small business. We define small business of 10 people or less within your business that are employed. And we're also looking to see, has your business revenue decreased by of up to 25% due to COVID? So we do look for kind of backup of either papers that demonstrate this. So this could be bank statements, it could be transaction level data from banks, it can be profit and loss statements, quarterly sales tax filings. So those are the types of things that we can look at in order to demonstrate this. We just don't fund the new businesses that are starting. We're really looking to fund businesses that have been in the neighborhood and have been impacted by COVID.
Makes sense.
And I see a question.
Yeah. Oh, we have 2 now. Do you want me to read the first one? It's
that'd be awesome.
So it's a landlord to a commercial and residential property on Hollis. They were affected by COVID due to business closures, but they still have to pay their mortgage. So could the grant help in that type of situation?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're really focused on the grant going towards adaptation so that your business can sustain itself during COVID. We really don't want the full grant to go towards just rent. We recognize that that's really important. But with our grant, we're really looking at how can this grant have the most impact for sustainability for a business. It is a very competitive process. So of course, I don't want to deter you from applying, because part of what the application does provide is then you're in our network and we're able to connect you with other resources that even if you can't get granted from us, we do host different orientations where it is someone from the SBA coming, it is other grantors coming to be able to connect with you and talk to you about other types of support. I don't think, again, I don't want to deter you, but I also want to save you time. So if you're only applying for overhead and rent, and can't really talk about how you're looking to adapt your business, it wouldn't be the best fit.
There's another question in there.
Yeah. It says we're finalizing an affordable housing project and building our Tree of Life program, a program planned to be a central location to offer various social services. So I think maybe we're seeking grants to help develop our Tree of Life project under our nonprofit.
Okay, so I think with that, I would just ask, and I'm also, I will share my personal email. So if anyone has follow-up questions specifically for their project and or their group and want to chat about it, I'm happy to. My main question for that group is if you're a staffed nonprofit, how much is your budget? Because it sounds like you guys are doing a lot of work, and it could potentially be a larger budget over $70,000, but I don't want to assume. But if you are a staffed nonprofit, you can apply for the neighborhood business grants. So that is something I want to point out, that if there's any larger nonprofits on this call, I would direct you to our neighborhood business grants versus our all-in neighborhood grant.
Makes sense. Oh, I didn't know that, you say?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have more questions. With what are the basic criteria? We did that. Oh, so give us some common reasons that grants are denied. Like nobody on here wants to waste their time.
Right.
Give them some tips on how they can get this money.
Yes. So for the all-in neighborhood grant, on the application, we have very clear application instructions in the beginning. So make sure that you're reading that very closely, just to make sure, like, for example, if you are a group that has like a $2 million budget or something like that, I don't want you to waste your time applying for this application. But with the all-in neighborhood grant, I would say one of the most important sections in the all-in neighborhood grant is where we ask you to share your story. So really making sure that that section is clear. You're talking about what is the mission of your group? Why do you do the work that you do? That's something that we're really going to look at to assess whether or not we'll give you a grant. So if you don't focus on anything else on this application, that section, spend the most time on, please. So really, if we don't have a full description on that section, I would say that would be a major reason why we wouldn't be able to provide you funding, just because we don't have enough information about your group and why you're doing the work that you do. On the application for the all-in neighborhood grant, something we're doing a little bit differently this year is you'll see we're not asking for a budget breakdown on the application. So that's not a trick. Okay. We're just asking how much do you request to fund the work that you're doing. What we'll do is if we're considering you for our final round of funding, we will ask for a further budget breakdown. So on that, we're calling it a supplemental application. On that application, just make sure that the budget is very clear, and your reasoning for each budget item is very clear. So that would be another thing. I actually usually don't talk about our supplement applications. You guys are getting an insider knowledge. But that would be another reason that maybe we wouldn't provide funding, is because the budget that you provided isn't clear, or isn't reasonable compared to the work that you're doing. So maybe you're like, I'm doing a one-day cleanup and I'm asking for $10,000. Yeah. Like you're like trash bags, and we're like,
10,000. Yes.
So like that type of thing when I say like making sure that it's reasonable.
Makes sense.
So that's for the all-in neighborhood grant. With the neighborhood business grant, reasons that people wouldn't get funded is one, the papers we're asking to demonstrate how COVID has impacted you. If you don't provide that information, that can automatically make you ineligible. So make sure you're providing that information. Also, if you have more than 10 people on staff, because believe it or not, even though we say less than 10 people, we do get, businesses submitting applications that have
People still apply.
So just making sure that you are looking at those eligibility requirements. I would also say, like, with filling out the budget on the neighborhood business grant, we're really looking to understand what are your monthly expenses? So how much are you spending on things like rent and overhead and salaries and things like that? So you'll see it's kind of 2 columns on the application. Then on the second application, we're asking about what are you spending the grant funds on? And we're really looking to see a majority of the grant funds being spent on adaptations. So that would be something that for the neighborhood.
That's for the small business one, right? So exactly. It's mostly about, listen, I want to continue my business through COVID, but I don't have the correct such and such, or I need this to expand. Not so much, I was already suffering before COVID and paid these bills for me. I get it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then for the all-in grant, the neighborhood projects, I remember that was a pretty long list of things you do and don't cover. I know there was like equipment rentals and kind of things like that. So let's talk a little bit about, like, don't expect us to pay for these things for the project-based all-in grant.
Yeah, so I'm so glad you brought that up, because with you and other people in the room that have maybe applied for our grants before, we had like a strict budget guidelines list where we had caps. Because of COVID and because we have a new CEO, Dr. Hassan Harris, and he was like, why are we restricting people so much?
Oh, good. I like him. Okay. I was like, all right, so you don't cover, all right, okay. Because specifically for me, it was the, what was confusing, one line said, okay, we cover rental items. And then the other line was like, we don't cover rental items. So it was like, if you need to rent a generator, it was very unclear whether you covered that or not.
Exactly.
So I'm glad that changed.
Yeah, so that actually makes the application even easier. Again, what we will do is, if you're awarded a grant, we'll have an orientation for groups to come together, and we'll talk about some expectations that we have. It's really like, please don't spend $10,000 on one computer. Like, we want to make sure that the grant funds are going
something else. It was whether you had honorariums for speakers and things like that, and what you can do with that. That was just me on what was restrictive.
Exactly. Yeah, and so those are lifted.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Someone here wants to know where they can find the restrictions. I'm going to assume just on the application.
Yeah, so again, we don't really have any budget restrictions.
Oh,
so,
it's all gone?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Congratulations.
Yeah, exactly. So that's for the all-in neighborhood grant. For the neighborhood business grant, we love using neighborhood, so it can make it confusing sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say, for the business grant specifically, it's really, we want funds to be used on adaptations. We're not telling you like you can only spend a certain amount on like a generator for this much or something like that. But we really want it to be focused on these adaptations versus necessarily like space rental or salaries.
Okay. And the same thing for the all-in grant. Like, I can't pay myself, right? Like, I let them want to do this thing, but I have to like not work in order for me to do this project. So I can't pay myself with this grant. I have to be able to show you like a receipt. Is that like kind of what you should be thinking about when you're filling it out the application?
Yeah, so believe it or not, you can give yourself
to acquire.
Oh, okay.
So you don't need them anymore.
Right.
It used to be a whole little draw I had here with receipts just for Citizens Committee.
Of course, I encourage you all like to keep receipts just for your own, for yourself. But for the final report, and Aaliyah, you'll see this for the 2020 All-In Neighborhood Grant, is we're not asking you for receipts. We're not trying to micromanage. We trust you as community members that you are going to spend the funds how you need to. Exactly. Nice. So we just want to know, how did the project go? again, really about storytelling. Like, tell us your story, tell us how things went, what was the impact, really that kind of focus on community engagement versus like, give us a budget breakdown of how you spend everything and give us every single receipt.
Yeah, it's nice. Good. Good. All right, let's see. Do I have any questions before I open it up to the audience a little bit? Oh yeah, tell us so a few examples of specifically for the All in Neighborhood grant of the types of projects you funded in the past.
Yeah, so with the All in Neighborhood grant, again, we fund things like people coming together as community members, but also some direct service items. So it could be starting a food pantry in your community, especially because access to food right now is so crucial and still an issue. But it could also be, especially right now with people not being able to pay rent, tenants' rights are crucial. So if you have someone that has information about like know your rights for tenants, and you want to lead workshops for tenants, you want to start a tenant association in your building or connect with other tenant organizing groups, you can lead a project where it is, and I'll give you some examples of like, what would you need funds to do that for? It could be paying for a Zoom account. It could be also, you know, paying for food and groceries for people in your community to make sure that they're getting food. Maybe people within your building are going to purchase food and giving it to neighbors while you're talking about how to protect people from getting evicted and what your rights are. So that is one example of actual, you know, groups we've supported that were doing that type of work. I mentioned Cop Watch as well. So during COVID, a lot of people are doing organizing on Zoom or different platforms. So if you wanted to lead workshops, again, we'll pay for your Zoom so that you can cover that.
But which package on Zoom are you guys paying for?
You know, whatever you need.
All right.
You know, so again, the grant is up to $10,000. So, you know, if you need Zoom, you need Zoom, and you need the package you need.
Everyone needs Zoom right now,
exactly.
at least for another 6 months.
Yeah. So also maybe you are working with youth and in your community, and their computers died, or like they need access to technology. So paying for computers for like after school programs or just being able to access education, that is another type of project that we will fund.
So what I see a lot of now where I live are community cleanups, community fridges, and I had one more, community cleanups, community fridges, and the library, the mini libraries in the park that look like birdhouses. We were just invited to do one at Kings Manor on Jamaica Avenue. So those are the type of things that you would fund, because I'm looking at these names here and I know the type of projects that they're working on. Those are easily can be funded, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And those are great examples of the types of projects we fund.
Yeah.
Someone asked if you could apply for both the community grant and the business grant.
Yes, you can apply for both. Yeah. So we definitely
to apply for both, it would have to be one, you as a business, and then the other just you as a neighbor, a citizen, and something you've identified in your community that needs it. Okay.
Exactly.
My last question, and before I open it to the audience, is boom, you get denied. What else can Citizens Committee for New York provide for you?
Yes.
Or you were funded, right?
Yeah.
And now there are additional things that you can get out of your organization. So tell us about your other services.
Yeah, thank you for asking that, especially because we aren't just a funder. We really want to be a platform for community members to be able to come together, get access to resources, get access to elected officials. That's another big thing is how do you actually
to elected officials?
Yeah, so we host information sessions, but also different, we call it Citizens Live events. So it is platforms where we have conversations just like this, and we had mayoral candidates like available for people to ask questions, hold them accountable. You know, so that's another thing. Aaliyah, if you want to set something up, or we're talking to elected officials in Queens, we can make that happen.
I'm already on it. We're gonna get on another Zoom after this Zoom and figure that out, because we have some ideas. Yes. Good.
So yeah, and so that's what I mean by access, is really like a pipeline. We're having these conversations with elected officials about what community members are telling us are important in their districts. It could be council members, it could be assembly members. So also,
and I feel like those local elections are often overlooked. The news doesn't really cover it. People don't really do anything for it, and they're in charge of a lot of decisions and legislations and money. So I'm happy to hear something like that. I don't want to interrupt your thought, but do you also fund groups that are focused on like voter education?
I'm so glad you asked that. So as a nonprofit, we have to support anything that's bipartisan.
Yes.
But voter education is absolutely, yes. Yeah. We're also working with Democracy NYC. They're doing workshops on ranked choice voting, which I'm learning about.
Well, yes, everyone's going to have to figure this out in June.
Exactly. Yeah. So they've attended some of our info sessions, but also just on some of with our Citizens Live. And I know I'm throwing out a lot of like, these are our platforms.
Yes.
So sorry about that. But basically,
I think this group is pretty educated on these terms. These are things we talk about in our group already. So
awesome. Okay. They got it. Cool. Yeah. Sometimes I do that.
Yeah, they got it.
Yeah. So with Democracy NYC, they're hosting workshops where you can actually learn about ranked choice voting, but they'll also come to some of our events. So like, hey, maybe the next event that we do together, I could have someone from their team come and talk about ranked choice voting. So what I want to do is I'm going to put 2 programs that we have that are upcoming. They happen once.
Yes, we were talking about things you offer outside of money.
Exactly. So you're going to see a bunch of links to opportunities. Okay. This is our rethink.
So I know I've gotten like a tent from you guys, a projector. Do you still have those kind of free borrow system?
Unfortunately, so right now we don't have our office anymore.
Right.
COVID. So our lending library is currently closed. But there is another organization in New York City that is actually doing similar work. We donated some of our items to them. Of course, I'm blanking on the name of who they are right now.
Okay, I'll Google it. We wanted to start a lending library here. Is that something that you fund? How about that?
Yes. I was just about to say.
Good. We've been trying to start one. Good.
Yeah, we'll definitely fund that. So I don't want to say that.
We'll definitely consider it. Yes. Because I have you on video saying that you'll definitely fund it. So retract it. You'll definitely consider it. That's cool.
Yeah, so you'll see with our Rethink and Rebuild that I put up there, I was talking about platforms. That's a way that we bring mayoral candidates, elected officials, people together to talk about the work that they're doing, but also how we can hold them accountable. We also, with the Rethink and Rebuild, it's more like a panel. But with the neighborhood chat, that's actually a very similar platform to this, where we're bringing community members together. We're talking about quality of life issues. We're doing breakout rooms so people can connect with one another. Last week, we had someone who had done organizing in the Bronx, and they found themselves in a breakout room with someone they had met 20 years ago and done work with and hadn't seen since. And they were like, reconnected in that breakout room. It was amazing. So, those types of things that we're creating spaces that people can connect with each other virtually and talk about the work that they're doing.
Awesome. All right. I want to bring a few folks on. We're very big on promoting ourselves and promoting each other and networking and sharing. So I do want to bring some people on to just talk about what they're working on or the name of their business. And if they have a small question or just, or not, or just, I want to just promote what I'm doing. So I'm going to bring on Teresa Myers. Let's see if I can Bring her on.
I can't share my video. I'm not sure.
I got you. I put on everything. I don't want any hacking. So I'm gonna trust everybody in the room, and I'm gonna take off the restrictions so Teresa can start her video. Do not bomb us. All right.
Thank you. I appreciate you. There
you go.
Hello.
You should be able to turn on your video now, Teresa. There you go.
Okay. Hi. Sorry about that. Hello. So my name is Therese Myers. I'm the founder of Yes Girls Create, a creative mentor program that services young girls from ages 8 to about 14. And we're transitioning our young women into the next level of leadership. And really, my question really for you, because I am a nonprofit owner for the last 3 years, I do an immense amount of fundraising and an immense amount of personal giving. Yeah. So from grant side of it, honestly, I can say that it is nothing but the grace of God, because we have such generous donors. So a lot of it really comes from, parent participation, neighborhood, and just being in the right place and right time of favor. And what it keeps me motivated, but it is very frustrating because I do not want to have to charge anyone for anything. And I'm an overgiver. And what I would just love to hear is I am a believer of paying for the things that you are not great at. So I know that I'm not great at grant writing, or I hate asking for money, but certain things I'm really good at. And those are the spaces that I try to stay focused on. So from the grant writing aspect, do you recommend that, people go out? I know there's a lot of money to be had out there, but what's the best way to be able to maximize on that,
So I want to take this one. Do not get a grant writer for this one. You could get that 10K. I already know the work that you're doing. And obviously we can't guarantee anything, but you are more than eligible to apply for up to $10,000 from this grant, because I've received it a number of times. You do not need a grant writer. You do not need to be the best speller. You just need a well thought out project and ideas, and write down what you're already doing, especially for you. This is very simple for you. It'll take you 2-3 hours to sit down, or you do a little bit now, you do a little bit later. But I very much recommend an organization like yours, because I know what you've been doing in the community. So I go get off of this call and go fill it out. Like there's nothing more. You don't hire anybody to do this. Not this one. Maybe other ones, maybe larger ones, foundations or things like that. But this one, you got it.
I'm going to look and see, because I think I shy away from it because I always feel like, am I going to do it the right way? And I mean, I've taken tons of classes, and I've even been, kind of discouraged a little bit from people saying, are you going to make sure you make sure of this? I'm like, oh my God, that's so much stress that it pulls me away from what I feel like.
Other grants are like that. And that's specifically why I wanted to bring this organization here, because these are one of the few organizations that really doesn't require that. Just speak from the heart, be clear, and write down what you're already doing. You got it.
The other thing too is that it's a rolling application. So
it's no deadline.
There's no deadline. So you can apply. And I think you said something about them holding on to your application. If you
you can start it, press save, and come back later.
Okay, I'm gonna look. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
And I want to do something in the group specifically for this one again, where we just kind of come together, talk about what we want to fill out. Maybe if you want another person to read it, and just hold each other accountable for just filling this out. Because a lot of times, exactly what you said, you get discouraged and then you just don't do it, and the money is there. I don't know how much money they have this year, but we want a large chunk of it to come out to some of the projects in our group. So let's do it.
You said, if it's free, I'll take 3. So
that's
it.
So good.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right.
Awesome. And I do want to just comment on the rolling deadline. And that's really helpful with, if you don't get the first round of funding, which will be given out in mid-May, we're going to give another round of funding in June. And as a nonprofit, we're fundraising. So the more applications we get, the more need we can show and try to get more funds on the ground. So apply. Super straightforward, super quick. So you don't need to be a grant writer to do it.
All right. I like how all my friends are coming up. Hey guys. Hey Christine. So come on. She has a question. Why are you muted? What did I do? Ask to unmute. You can unmute yourself now. I took all the respect.
Okay. No, you unmuted me, but then she was still talking. My house is a lot of people. So I didn't want to be interrupting her. So my question is, I wanted to say really quickly to the lady who's speaking before me, when it comes to grant writing, especially if it's more about the storytelling, try just either dictating to your phone, or if you have dictation on your computer, most of them have that now, where you can just talk and it will type out the words. Then you get most of your thoughts out. You know what I'm saying? A lot of
And then
times
you can
it's
make it make
easier for the
sense.
yeah, so easy for a lot of us to just talk and say it, and then go back and actually neaten it up. But that might help with just that dump of the ideas. So I wanted to say that to Therese. My other question, because I wasn't sure if that's the type of thing that would be applicable, but I am the owner of Checklist Maze. We are an eco-friendly cleaning company in Queens. And one of the things I've been wanting to do for a while is, would it be possible to get a grant where we were essentially doing free home cleanings for the recipient? My mother's a breast cancer survivor, and then I have different family members with, elderly parents. And when it comes to our actual clients, sometimes I'll have people that will book a cleaning for their elderly parent or grandparent, or doing cleanings for women who are going through chemo or things like that. But the thing is, not that I have to make anything off of it, but when I do donations, I still pay my cleaners, obviously, because it's their time spent and I want to make sure they're. So would that be something where I could say, for a certain amount of cleanings, I want to be able to have these as donations of, even if it's like someone will come and do a free 4-hour cleaning, but to help people who are either elderly or going through something physically and they can't actually tend to their home, because people don't always think about home cleaning, but it really is helpful. And if you're, especially with us being not out as much, you're in your home a lot more, and the environment you're in can also have an effect on how you feel, right? And just your comfort. So that's something that I've done, giveaways, but it's coming from me when I do it, because even if it's free, I still pay the cleaner. So that, I didn't know if that was something that misses the mark, or that's something that would be applicable. And then would that be community or business?
Yeah, that is awesome. I'm trying to think, because I've never gotten a question like that before, because I'm like, okay, how could you fit that into adaptations for your business?
For COVID, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That is an interesting take on it.
Yeah. So
because we've still been doing cleanings and we have the PP, and even the funny thing is, like, I actually pay my cleaners a lot more than most cleaners pay. Whatever the booking is, the cleaners make at least 50%, because my grandmother was a cleaner, my late grandmother, and she was exceptional, but she was always poor. And I said, I'm not going to pass that forward, right? I'm not going to pass that burden. So it's very important that my cleaners, and I used to do all the cleaning, but that they're appreciated and compensated well for their time away from their kids and their home. So like I said, I've done it before, but it's just come from my pocket, and we're a family of 6. So it's not like I got money just throwing out there either. Right? Kids are expensive. It's New York. So that's why I wanted to know.
Yeah, I would definitely say apply for the neighborhood business grant, because you are a registered business, so you are the best fit for that grant program. When you're describing the adaptation section, talk about, again, it's an adaptation I didn't really think about, but you are still adapting during COVID to support your community. It's not necessarily internal business adaptations, but you're still pivoting to during COVID. So yeah, just making sure in that section you're describing how it's an adaptation. You can definitely make an argument for it. But again, I'm going to put my email address here as well. So as you're filling out the application, if you have questions, you can just reach out to me. And okay, same goes for anybody. Yeah, of course.
Awesome. That was a great one. Thank you. Oh, she left already. All right. We're going to bring up another person. We're going to bring up Diana Rose. You can unmute yourself, turn off your video, and talk about your project. Working it out.
Oh, there she goes. Hi.
You're unmuted on this end. Oh, wait. Let me make sure. Yeah, you have control.
Okay, I just got the unmute button. Man, this security is something.
Yeah, I keep it tight.
This is like
yeah, I don't do that.
more secure here than I do anywhere else.
Yes.
Hi, Aaliyah. Thank you so much for having this panel, BlaQue Resource Network. Hi, Katie. I'm getting so much information, so thank you for this. Again, my name is Diana Rose. I'm the founder of CHE Corp, which is the Community Health and Economic Corporation, and also the founder of the Laurelton Farmers Market. So we launched in 2020 during the pandemic as an act of resistance to, communities of color and, COVID and lack of access to healthy farm fresh food. So it's been a blessing, and just to be able to have an open air market has been great. So we're the only, technically right now, we're the only farmers market in Southeast Queens, which is absurd because you would think that we would have more farmers markets out here, but we don't. So as 2020 has proven a big success and a safe space for the community to come and gather, we are scaling and launching the St. Albans Farmers Market as well this year. So as we scale, we also are very interested in hiring market managers to really take on, the operation. And that is one of the things that I'd be applying for the all-in grant. So
the business grant.
So CHE Corp is a nonprofit. So CHE Corp is a nonprofit. So that would be a grant.
So both. You can apply for either.
And then my business is Jars of Delight, which is a catering company. So I will be applying for that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, for CHE Corp, the idea is really to not just bring access to farm fresh produce in the community, but also think about green job production and introducing the community to, green job opportunities. So like farmers markets and agriculture. So that's what we're doing here on this side.
Nice. And Aaliyah is right. So it's interesting because it sounds like we fund farmers markets and especially expanding through the All-In Neighborhood Grant. But when you said hiring more staff to kind of expand, I think that's where I was like, oh, maybe you could apply for the neighborhood business grant for the farmers market. So I'd love to chat a little bit more with you just in detail about the work that you're doing to see which grant you'd be a better fit for, because I almost feel like either might be a good fit for the farmers markets, and then for the Jars of Delight, definitely the business grant.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thanks for the work that you're doing. That's awesome.
Thank you.
When does your farmers market launch, Diana? Where are you? Unmute. Oh, can't unmute. Okay, put it in the chat when your farmers market launches, and anyone else that wants to promote something to the group, put it in the chat so we know what's happening in our community.
I see two things. One was someone interested in starting a food access program.
Do they want to come on and chat?
I asked. Let's see if they want to come on now.
Was that Greg?
That was Greg. Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to invite Greg. Okay, yes, I was private messaging Greg. Greg, is you sleeping, Greg?
There you go.
Nope, you're up. Let's talk, Greg. What you working on? Nope, unmute yourself, Greg.
I'm afraid to press it, and then you press it. Let's see what happens.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, security is tight. Thank you. So I also wanted to set up a food access and farmers market as well. And so that's a good company with the other young lady who was on, just because there's a lot of high need. But mine would be a social enterprise. So like it's partially for profit, and then there would be another give back component as well. So I just needed to know like how to go about that and like which grants to apply for.
Yeah, so with that, are you already a registered business, or would you be starting a business?
Starting.
Okay, so with our neighborhood business grant, we aren't providing funds to start a new business. Unfortunately, it's really focused on businesses that have been in the community that have been impacted by COVID already. If though, just thinking of ways that you could apply for the All-In Neighborhood Grant. If you haven't registered yet and want to pilot the work that you're doing and apply for an All-In Neighborhood Grant to get it on the ground, and then, register your business, that is an option. So because farmers markets are definitely things that we would fund. But also if you're filling out the application and you're not quite sure how to frame it, you can always reach out to me and we can talk about it more.
Great, thanks a lot. This is really great for you guys doing this. Thanks.
Yeah, cool.
I think Diana wants to reach out to you too, Greg. So there was a quick question. I think we answered this before about can charter schools apply? Can charter schools apply for the All-In grant?
Yeah, charter schools can apply. We do prioritize Title I public schools, but charter schools are eligible.
Okay, and then Gail, would you like to come up and?
Yeah, bring up Gail. Hey Gail, how are you?
I'm great. What is this? Okay. Okay. I have a ADA accessible garden in Far Rockaway, primarily for people in wheelchairs or have some kind of physical differences where it makes them unable to bend over and garden in the ground. So we're building waist-high raised beds. And the Parks Department is giving us some funds, but in order to have the entire surface with the diamond grid, so the wheels can roll without any surface bumps, we would need extra funds for that. Is that something that I could write the grant for?
Yes, absolutely. Even if you've gotten funds from other organizations, other grants, like you can still apply on top of that in order to carry out your work.
Okay, one other thing. I want one of those Swedish composting machines. They're kind of expensive and the city and the Parks Department won't fund it. Could I also put that in there?
Absolutely,
okay.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
There's also, Gail, just so you know, the Manhattan Solid Waste Advisory Board, there's like these different swabs in every borough. Queens has one too. But they have an application, a composting application and grant out right now. It's up to $1,000 to start a new composting system. So you would also be eligible for that. I believe it's still open. So if you can email me.
Okay, I will.
And I'll give you that information. So just, shoot me an email.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Nice to see you, Gail.
Nice to see you too.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna do a few more. How long are you with us?
Me?
Yes.
How long am I here? 6:30.
Okay. All right. Cool. Let's go. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. We have other people that like to come up.
Yeah. There's Malika. Malika, let me help you out there. So there's
and talk about promote yourself, guys. Come up, tell me what you're working on, tell us what business you have, tell us your project, and then you can ask your question. Got Malika up. All right, there you go. Hey Malika.
Hello, hi guys.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of nervous. I don't do this.
It's all right. You here? It's funny.
Y'all are awesome. Thank you, Aaliyah. I seen it on BlaQue Resource. So I have a lingerie line called Lika's Lusty Lingerie, and I started it in COVID. So my question is, am I eligible? Like my business has actually gone really far since I've started, and I do a lot of pop-up shops, and I actually need assistance now because I actually lost my job. I am a school teacher as well, so I lost my job. So I had to get unemployment. So I started this business just because of that. So I wanted to know if I'm even eligible for a grant.
Yeah, great question. So unfortunately, since you just started your business during COVID, we're really looking for how has COVID impacted your business. So we do need that information pre-COVID as well. So the neighborhood business grant isn't the best fit, but we're hoping to keep this grant program open beyond COVID. So keep that in mind as you're continuing to do your work that you can apply in the future.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, who do we have? So I don't know if there's a Jason. I don't know if he wanted to just ask in the chat or is he coming on to ask this question? Because I actually have the same question. So I'm gonna hope he turns on his camera in the next 10 seconds. Yes, there he goes. Hi, Jason. You have a great question. You have my question, so you can ask it so I can find out too.
Okay, so thank you for having this and thank you for passing me through the security. So the question I have is that if we apply for the grant and get it, what's the, I guess, the statute of limitations on where you can apply for it again? Is it a year, or how does that process work in terms of possibly recurring or anything like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So you can apply every year. It is a rolling application. So, don't apply like 3 times in 1 year. We won't be able to award you like $30,000 for that 1 year. But, you can apply this year. And if you get a grant this year, you can reapply again next year. Something that we do look for is how are you expanding your work or continuing your work, and kind of talking about how was your work successful before and how do you want to continue that in a kind of scaling up way.
Sure.
Right, thank you.
Jason, is there anything that you're working on that you want to tell us about, or just getting information for others?
Well, 2 things. One, that I work at a charter school. So that was the charter school question was mine. I apologize for joining a little late. So I apologize if I missed that part.
Oh, good.
But we are working to kind of expand some of our programming in terms of food. Well, food equity is one, some technical support and college access support there. So being able to kind of get supplies and things of that nature is one of the things we're looking for. I also run a sports-based nonprofit that helps kids, identify kids to be a part of a program that helps with school placement, mentoring, and ultimately to get debt-free college access. So a lot of this stuff works well for my middle school students in terms of budgeting and stuff like that. We tend to have to lean heavily towards our high school students. So some of this grant money would sound a good opportunity for me to kind of expand lower into our middle school and be able to create more robust programming at the middle school level. So I appreciate the opportunity to learn about this.
Excellent. Apply. I want you to apply. I hope everyone here applies, because we're all doing some great stuff. Thank you, Jason. All right, come on, people. Come on. Ask your questions. I see a lot of people here, people going in and out. Let us know what you're working on, because even if beyond Katie and the money that she has that she's able to award to the community, there are a lot of us on here that have our own opportunities or want to collaborate, and we want to hear from you. So come on down. Let's see, what's the chat saying?
No, nothing so far, but I mean, I see some people who have ideas. I saw someone who was
I see some new people in here. So I just want to kind of do a 30-second recap of what we're talking about. So we're talking about a Citizens Committee for, Monica's going to go next. Citizens Committee for New York. They're offering 2 grants currently. There's a grant for small businesses. No, it's not for nonprofits only. You can just be a group of neighbors. A bunch of people want to get together and work on something to improve their community. They can apply for up to $10,000. There are 2 grants. There is a small business grant to help you adjust to COVID. So outdoor dining, getting the right air filtration system, any kind of adjustments you need to make to be able to meet the needs of your community and sustain your business through COVID, you can apply. Then there's another grant that community groups can apply for. A bunch of people, bunch of neighbors have come together and identified a problem in their community. They can come together and decide, you know, we need some funding for this. So that's community cleanups, community gardens. We said fridges. We said youth programming, anything that you decide that you've identified the problem. Okay, we have 2 people that want to come on.
Yeah.
And you need money to continue your works, especially if you're already doing the work. You need money to expand or continue. This is a grant you should and could apply for. And Katie wants us all to apply. She wants all this extra work. She wants to see 33, well, it's more than 33 because people came in and out. So I'm going to say 40 new grant applications to come in within the next month. So apply. I'm going to bring on LaShawn. And then I saw someone else, maybe Monica.
Oh yeah, Monica.
So I'm going to bring on LaShawn and then Monica to talk about what they're working on and what they need money for. All right.
Hi, so I'm a STEM-based program. My name is LaShawn Winstead. I have a non-for-profit and a for-profit, both based for STEM education for our children. For the non-for-profit, we are focused on girls, teaching them untraditional jobs, as far as stuff that they wouldn't normally do, like construction, carpentry, robotics, stuff in STEM, and some of the things we're working on. So my thing is, with this, even though we're not a charter school or a public school, but our program is educational based, would we be able to apply for any of these grants?
Yes, absolutely. Both grant applications, I think, especially if you have a nonprofit and a for-profit business. And when we think about education, we recognize that education isn't just school, right? There are a lot of creative ways outside of school that we really need to engage youth in our neighborhood in. So yeah, we look for creative ways that education fits under that, and that's what you're doing. So.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So apply, you're gonna apply, right?
Yes, I'm going to apply, yes.
Let me email everybody here and ask them, what are you working on? Did you apply? All right, good.
I don't know, Monica was next, right? I don't know, did Teresa still have a question or was that from before?
I don't know, let's see. Teresa, do you have
I think you did have the deadline question.
Yes, she was asking about deadline. Monica, you wanna come on down?
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Monica.
I apologize. I'm at work, so I will not turn on my camera. I work for transit. I just wanted to say thank you for this platform. The information was super beneficial. I would share it with other people. I don't believe I qualified for the grant. I do know some that would qualify, but just to touch base as to why I joined the Zoom, I have a business. It's called Moeva Hair Essentials. It is really just about creating organic products for people of color to use in their hair.
Yeah.
So that's really it. I see that this grant is definitely not for me.
But that's okay, because I still want you to promote what you're doing.
Absolutely, absolutely. The information is, as I said, definitely beneficial. But I will put my website in the chat. Again, it's a Black-owned business.
That's right.
Salute to me. You will see that I promote it with myself and my daughter because, like most organic products, it's just really you trying to find something that agrees with you minus the toxic chemicals, you know?
Yeah.
My products are handmade and my ingredients are sourced overseas. Yeah. So like my number one seller, my Jamaican castor oil, that's handmade and it's obviously made in Jamaica. Yeah. My hair growth elixir, I swear by it. I use it in my hair, my daughter's hair, and other hair types to combat itchy scalp. A lot of people are using braiding hair and they're finding out the hard way that they're allergic to it. And so this hair oil, it's like super bomb. And so I'm just growing that hair oil and hair butter to other essentials, organic shampoos, conditioners, so on and so forth. So that's a little bit about my business and myself.
Check out the chat. I think somebody wants to collaborate with you on something.
Oh, amazing. So I will put all my information in the chat.
How come I haven't seen you promote in the group though? I don't see that many, Monica.
I have promoted.
Okay.
I realized when I didn't get a big response that I realized I had a lot of work to do myself.
No, that means you gotta do it again. That's all.
That means you got to do it again. I'm gonna tell most people a secret here on how to get a lot of engagement in the group. Is just keep posting and keep commenting. When people see your name a lot, they feel like they know you, and then they feel compelled to support you. So don't get discouraged that if your first post didn't hit the way you wanted it to. Keep engaging, meet people, get out there and network on the page.
See, you network.
I did not see Monica. Good. But thank you for coming on and sharing. Did you put your website in the chat? Yes?
She didn't.
Nope, where Monica?
Not yet. She's gonna do it now.
I saw something happen. Nope. Oh, okay, says she. Okay, there we go. All right.
So there was 2 questions in the chat.
She was accidentally muted or something? All right, well, I'm gonna go check out Monica's
website.
Okay. Do we have any more questions about what's happening?
There's 2 more. One was, are there any reporting requirements required once you receive the grant? And one about, do you have a certain time limit to spend the funding, which we did not ask yet.
That's a good one.
Yeah, so you have about a year to spend the funding down. And then we ask for a very simple final report. And it's basically, tell us your story. Tell us what happened. We're talking a lot about storytelling and sharing your story in this, which is awesome because really that's what we're all about. We want to hear from you of what was your impact and what did success look like to you and your community members. We don't ask for receipts. We will ask for just like, did you spend all of the funds? Let us know. So it's, again, very simple final report. Aaliyah, you're about to go through it very soon. So we'll be sending that to you, but it's using the same platform as the online application. So yeah, we try to make it super easy and we're flexible. If for some reason you're like, hey, I need more time, and we send the final report to you, don't feel like, oh my gosh, I have to finish it right this second. Let us know if you still need time to finish your project.
All right.
Sorry, I'm trying to post about Monica right now.
There was a question about, can this grant be applied to documentary filmmakers? I would suggest that person maybe come up and say a little bit more, because I think if you say more, you might get more information. I think that was Marjorie. Let's see if I can find you. Marjorie. There you are. So I just unmuted you and sent you a couple of requests to come on. Hey.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, thank you for this. This is an amazing opportunity for everyone to know about each other's businesses, but also to get some opportunity to get some funding. I was working on a documentary about the effect of COVID on funeral directors and what it was like for them. And I'm wondering if this grant applies to that particular doc.
Sorry, I'm looking for my unmute. Yeah, the All-In Neighborhood Grant could be a good fit. What I want to know a little bit more is, with the All-In Neighborhood Grant, we're really looking to fund groups. And by group, we mean 2 or more people. So are you working with other people on this documentary? Like, how are you engaging other community members and carrying this out? That would just be my main thing. But otherwise, it would be a fit.
Yes, I am engaging with a funeral director who has been working with other directors when they went through the real trauma of March, April, May of last year, and the toll it took on them, along with some other filmmakers who, people who have shot with me. I have a couple of films that I have worked on before. I work with a team Mostly commercial work. I worked in advertising for about 15 years, and I have a couple of films that are out working with creative control. But this one is an independent piece that I'm doing with with the funeral director who came to me and asked, could I please help her get this story out, because no one knows anything about what they all went through.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say for the All In Neighborhood Grant, you should definitely apply. And when is that coming out, or how can we, again, with Citizens Committee as a platform, we definitely love to get the word out about that once it's done. So please keep in touch. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I never thought about that.
No.
That is I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, nice. Thank you for spearheading that, Marjorie.
There is Alva with their hand raised.
And then after her, I think Liza had a question as well.
There you go.
Hi, I'm so excited that Marjorie just went, because I happen to be a funeral director.
Look at that. Look at that. That's right. So now you and Marjorie have to share information. This is how we do this. Yes.
Yes. I'm the owner of Stewart Funeral Services. And
I know you. You took out an ad in our newsletter. Yeah, cool.
Yes. So yes, I was one that I went through the trauma of COVID, because as a funeral director, you're accustomed to death, but not like how we've seen for COVID. And my question for the grant is, COVID is still going on, and I service families that their loved one died of COVID, and because it's so unexpected, most of them did not plan to have funds available to bury. So I was just wondering if the grant could be applied, if a family come to me and some of them have a taboo about cremation. Caribbean families, it's like a taboo. So sometimes it's their only option, because cemeteries in Brooklyn or Queens can range from $7,000 to $9,000, $6,000 to $9,000. But through some research, I was able to find some cemeteries in New Jersey that would be like 1,500, which is very affordable compared to 6,000 to 7,000. So I would love the opportunity, to use the grant for a family that wants to bury but doesn't have the funds to do Brooklyn or Queens, but they would have the option. I would love to tell a family, you can still bury your loved ones. There's a grant that I received, and I can apply, for example, $1,500 to your bill to make that happen. That would warm my heart. So I just wanted to know if that would be, if that would be grant applicable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for the work that you're doing. And I can't imagine the kind of emotional burden that you have chronically had to carry through your job. So I also want to say, Christine, I'm not sure if you were on here, but Christine, I think Ruiz, who is part of an eco cleaning, she was talking about how could we use the grant to maybe cover cleaning services for people that can't afford it. And so I would say that you kind of would fit under that category. So I'm glad we had that discussion of with the neighborhood business grant, when you're talking about adaptations, really describing how the funds will go towards supporting community members who are going through COVID and can't afford a burial or a funeral service at that time. So absolutely, with the neighborhood business grant, you're just going to talk about adaptations in that section a little bit differently. Yeah.
Okay, because yeah, I was shying away from asking questions because my business is unconventional and unique. And I was like, you guys talking about all these great things like here and community food pantries, and here I come with death, but this is something real.
It is.
It is something real.
Yeah.
I didn't want to put a damper on the webinar, but
No.
that is something that would warm my heart, to be able to help families put their loved ones to rest the way that they would want.
Yeah.
As opposed to being forced to do like a cremation because of
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for adding a new conversation to what we're doing. Everything is not going to be flowers and food. Some things are going to be uncomfortable. But thank you for sharing that with us.
And Marjorie says, please reach out. So definitely reach out to Marjorie. Her email's in the chat. So I'm going to copy it too in case you forget and you ask on the page. I'm going
to right. Okay, let's do one more. And then we can do a closing. Do we have one more person?
There were a couple of other ones that were in here.
Please, everyone, check out the chat, specifically the people that came on, because there are a lot of comments and responses that
there's lots
want to collaborate.
There was a question about the age that you can
apply. Yes,
apply.
Liza.
Yes,
Liza, did you want to come on, or did you just want to ask that in the chat? Come on down, Liza. Come on.
Okay, hold on. Sorry.
Yay!
Okay, I can't even see myself, but okay.
You look good.
Okay. No, I just wanted to know the age requirement, because as probably most people know, I have an ambitious 16-year-old, and she does a lot of stuff.
I was going to say Liza lives about 7 houses that way.
Yes, and she does a lot of stuff for the community, and so I just basically want to know, is there an age minimum? Because I know this is not like a youth grant, but yeah, so that's basically like, what I want to know. Like, I know an adult usually has to do the stuff with the youth.
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked that, because there's not a minimum, and we encourage it's hard to encourage youth to spearhead these types of projects. So if you have
her daughter Linda, she got it. She is on everything from beach cleanups to photographies to volunteering at our food shares to just mentoring other youth. Like that is a perfect applicant for what we're doing.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was going to say, if you have an excited young person, like, definitely encourage her to apply. The only thing is, bank account wise, like, the adult would have to, if she doesn't have a bank account, just organize like how to get the funds. But
and she has other youth with her. It's not even just her. She's able to motivate other youth in the community and she's leading the way.
That's awesome. Liz, what's your daughter's group's name? Do they have like a name for their group?
Well, my daughter is actually part of the Sister Girl Environmental Club, which is basically how, like, Aaliyah just promoted, they go around doing beach cleanups, park cleanups, helping out, with the community and stuff like that. But she kind of wants to branch out a little bit on her own and do stuff with like some other type friends. And I think that's another question, because it kept mentioning like it could be a community group. It could be just
doesn't need to be a nonprofit. Just needs to be a group of residents.
She could get with some high school friends and just do like some stuff, as long as, of course, it's feasible thing.
Yeah.
I mean, she apply. Linda's group. I don't know.
Yes, whatever they want to name it, or however they want to do this, the Springfield Gardens Youth, or however they want to name it. But absolutely, I just knowing her work, she is more than eligible to apply.
Yeah, because I think she also wants to do something with her photography, because she's also a photographer. So she wants to go out in the community and, like, I don't know, like take pictures of the graduates that didn't get like their picture taken and stuff like that too. That's another idea she has.
Yeah. So Linda needs to be on this call so she asks the questions. Where is she?
She is in class right now. She's
Fair
in
enough.
class.
Fair enough.
SAT time.
Fair enough. So just a small story about Linda, her daughter. First time I saw her was on QPTV. And I was like, wow, this girl's so articulate and she's so focused and she's so, she's motivating even for adults. And then a couple days later, I walked to the park around the corner and I saw her and I was like, no way, that's the same girl I just saw on QPTV doing it do. So I love Linda. She is one of my favorite youth in the community. So I am going to personally make sure she fills out this grant because she deserves it. I just wanted to share that story about her. So make sure, tell her to call me. We're already working on something else for a book project with Linda. So let's help her fill out this grant. Thank you, Liza.
All right, I think you said we have time for one more, and there's 2 hands, so we're gonna make it quick.
Quick.
Linda J. She has hers already kind of in the chat. The start to her question. Let's see if I can get.
So yeah, you can read it for her. And
I'll read it for her to get it going. So my nonprofit org is getting started this fall, and we're looking to support 20 teenage girls to have access to free career readiness workshops with an adult mentor. So what I'm guessing her question might be like if she qualifies, but I don't want to speak for her. And I lost.
Well, maybe she was just promoting her.
There she goes.
Her program. Is this Linda J?
Oh,
yes, hi.
Hey.
How are you, ladies? Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Yeah.
So basically, my organization's name is With Love Victory, and the idea is that we are going to be supporting at least 20 teenage girls in our mentorship program. This is our first year doing this, and so my question really is, since we're just getting started and we're just kind of getting off the ground, is this a grant that would be able to assist in that, or is this for an established organization?
No, you are a great fit for the All-In Neighborhood Grant. So the work that you're doing, a lot of times, even with the All-In Neighborhood Grant, again, 1, you don't have to be a grant writer. 2, you don't have to be an established nonprofit or registered 501c3. You can just be a group that's coming together and wanting to start the work. So for the All-In Neighborhood Grant, please apply.
All right.
All right, last person is Deborah Padmore. She didn't put a question, so
come on down.
Let's see. There it is. Okay.
Deborah?
Hi. I'm trying to
Hey,
start
Deborah.
video. Hi guys, how are you? So this is so great. I can't seem to get my video on. However, we are an established 501c3. We've been around for quite a few years, and this year we started our Pearl Scholarship, our Leadership Academy, which is a 4-module event over 6 months with students. A STEM module, a financial literacy module, a social justice module, and a full leadership module, which includes parliamentary procedures for young people. So we only have 15 students right now. So we're trying to replicate that again next year and expand it. And we're just working with 8th to 11th graders. So we're trying to maybe include 7th grade. Now, we don't want to do 12th grade yet because we want to assess the program. We don't want somebody to come in and leave. So that's why we ended at 11th grade. So we wanted to see how the program works, what was the impact. And as a matter of fact, just Saturday, they created from beginning to end a STEM panel with different kind of STEM careers. So we had a rocket scientist and an anesthesiologist and an architect, so that they could, query them and get information. So possibly something that we could apply for.
Sorry, I keep putting myself on mute and I'm talking as if you can hear me. Yes, the answer is yes. Yeah, All-In Neighborhood Grant is a good fit for the work that you're doing.
Okay, I'm all in.
All right, there you go.
Yes.
All right. So
all in.
I want everyone to apply for this. Does everyone
in.
have the link to apply for this? Can we throw the link in the chat one more time? You guys save this. Businesses, community groups, neighborhood. Here's an opportunity for us to get some money for the work that we're already doing. This is an easy one, an easy up to 10K. Yes. Depending on what your needs are, apply for it. We need it. And it's available for us. And a lot of times the problem in our community is getting the information out and knowing what things are available for us. So we're here to help. I want to do, sure, you have another question?
Yeah, if you apply for, has anyone ever applied for 10K and then the grantor says, no, we're only going to give you 8?
Yeah,
or 7.
For sure. I've applied for not this specific grant, but other grants where it's like, listen, I know this is what your needs are, but this is what we're able to do because we want to be fair and be able to break this up as much as we can. So we're here to help what we can. So yeah, that definitely does happen. So it's, even if you don't get the full amount, you may still get a portion. Katie can answer better specifically for this grant.
No, that was a great answer. Absolutely. Sometimes because we are trying to support as many community groups as possible, we may give you less. Of course, if we feel like we have to cut it too drastically, we'll call you and talk to you just to make sure that you can still carry out the work that you're doing.
I know for other grants, like there's a form you have to fill out, change of scope. To say, well, now that we're only giving you this amount, what are you still able to do?
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. All right, that's it. Katie, you've been a big help. Thank you for showing us the money and where we can get some support for our businesses and our projects. We appreciate you. We appreciate the information you were shared today. We appreciate your time. Thank you for all of the members from the BlaQue Resource Network that were able to come and promote yourself. And I hope you take the time now to go back into the group and do some posting and tell us what you're working on. If you weren't able to share it here today, I hope you got the link from the chat on how to apply for this grant. I'm going to send out an email to everyone if you just want to get on another Zoom and just talk about what you're working on and share ideas with each other and get pointers from each other and get spell check from each other and get motivation from each other or anything else we need from each other. And I'll send that out soon. Katie is also going to send a follow-up email just with the some basic information and links from today. So you can use it for yourself or use it for others or use it for both. And that's it. Does anyone have anything else? Katie or Letitia, you have anything else to say before we close out?
I just want to say thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate being here, and it was really great to meet everybody. And thank you all for sharing the work that you're doing. So please email me, keep in touch, join some of our other events, but hopefully I'll definitely, me or one of my other colleagues will show up again in one of these chats.
Sure, we'll do another one soon because I know there's a host of people that are already online. Like, what are you guys doing without me? Yeah. So we'll do another one soon. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Bye for now.
Right.
Thank you.